So the crab dip is done. We're gonna dive in. It's not spicy.
Not spicy.
Yeah, it's good. It's super tender. For the holidays, we always need a good main dish, and it doesn't always have to be turkey or ham. And so in Hawaii, what's really cool is we have a blend of cultures, right? We're this giant melting pot of food. So I have my dear friend, Brian Hirono here today, who's gonna share with us a really fun Korean dish that's very traditional for special occasions. So welcome, Brian.
Thank you. So I'm half Korean, my mom's Korean, and this is something that she would make on special occasions. And so, Koreans, Asians, we celebrate Christmas, whatnot, but like New Year's or like during the fall time, there's like a Korean Thanksgiving or birthdays or things like that. So this is kind of like a really kind of special dish, like a special occasion dish.
Yeah.
It's called galbijjim.
Okay.
Try that.
Galbijjim.
Galbijjim.
Galbijjim. No?
Jim.
Jim.
Yeah. So galbi is ribs,
Okay.
and jim is stewed or braised.
Okay.
So it's a stewed ribs. So we're using beef today. So just wanted to talk a little bit about this. So I went to the Korean supermarket. It's gonna be bright red, and, obviously with blood. So what I did was I bought the ribs last night, and then we soaked it in cold water overnight in the fridge just to pull all the blood and impurities out. And then I dumped the water, and then this morning before I came to the studio, we just blanched it. So you boil the water really hot, and then you just put it in for about 5-10 minutes max. And that way, what it does is that it boils out all the impurities from the marrow, because you're gonna get a lot of blood still in there.
Yeah.
And then you don't want that in your dish.
Okay.
Also, it starts reducing the fat a little bit, and then so I can scrape off the fat.
Okay.
So then, because a lot of times with beef rib dishes, when you cook it or braise it, then what happens is that there's a lot of fat content, and it gets really gelatinous or really too fatty.
Sure.
And then that kind of destroys the taste of the dish. So this meat has been already been prepared. You can go to Costco, has some really good deals time to time for the beef rib, this kind of rib. Or you can go to a Korean supermarket, or
Here is H Mart.
H Mart.
Yeah. Is there other ones, or that's the only one you would go to?
That's the only one that I would probably go to right now, yeah. So that's the beef, we've prepared that. And then for the veggies, so obviously we have some onions here, and then also enoki mushrooms. Now the mushroom is kind of my personal take on it. Like, I really like enoki mushrooms. I like any kind of mushroom. So I decided to put some in today. And then we have an assortment of cut vegetables here today. So I want to walk you through a little bit about that. So the white big stuff that we see is daikon, right? So in Korean, we call it moo, M-O-O, moo, like how the cow moos, right? So we have some of this, and then we have obviously carrot. And also, this is kind of non-traditional. It's an optional thing, but I decided to put in some potatoes today. So we're gonna do that. And then for the marinade, we have our soy sauce, and then this is called mirim, or it's mirin in Japanese, and it's a cooking wine.
Yeah.
Yep. So we have a little bit of that, sesame oil. And then this right here is my special concoction. So we took a cup of soy sauce, half a cup of mirim, and then I'm gonna put in a half a cup of honey right now. I didn't have honey, so we're gonna put that in. And then about 10 cloves of garlic. And then maybe like half a slice of ginger. And then you just grate it up or mix it up into a mixer, like a bullet.
Nice.
And then so I already pre-mixed that. So we're gonna just put in the honey now, because that's what I was missing earlier.
And of course, we're using Tolentino honey, the only honey you can use.
Yes. Here. Oh, one secret ingredient in this marinade is Asian pear.
Oh.
So I put half an Asian pear in it. A lot of Korean food, you'll see that there's a little bit of sweetness, spicy, savory, all that stuff. And a lot of the times fruit actually brings the dish together. So we put half of an Asian pear that we got yesterday. So I'm just gonna measure half a cup of the honey. This dish tends to be on the sweeter side, and I think local people like it a little bit sweeter.
Yeah.
So we're gonna just do half a cup there.
We also love an Instapot meal, especially for the holidays, where you can walk away and do other things. So this is awesome. How long does it need to go in here?
Today we have 6 pounds of ribs. The recipe that I normally follow, calls for 3 pounds. So we're doubling that today. So I'm gonna put it in for about 50 minutes. Typically it's 35.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then if you don't have an Instapot, do you know the on the stove time?
I don't know on the stove time. To be honest, on the stove, you probably have to just do it by eye and kind of by sight. So, you know, I'm not quite too sure.
Like an hour plus still.
Probably hour and a half. But you know, the thing is that having it blanched beforehand, it already cooks it a little bit. So now you're just trying to marinate it and, you know, cook it in the sauce.
And of course, we're serving this over hot white rice, so you can have your rice maker on the side ready to go, which we already have. If you are new to Hawaii cooking, I'm going to tell you right now, Cal Rose is the way to go. We don't use jasmine rice, sorry. But some people have their preferences. And of course, you can use brown if you need to as well.
Now, this is optional, and I'm going to add in a little bit of red pepper flakes today.
Yeah.
Are you okay with spicy?
Yeah, but this is
okay. It's very red. So here's the thing about Korean hot peppers is that it's very red, but it's not that spicy. It's not high on the, I think it's called the Scoville level.
Yeah.
Which like measures from like 1 to like
flaming,
10 million. No, seriously, 10 million. So you know, it's not that spicy. So we're gonna just put in a little bit, just for a little bit of a kick. So this is Korean pepper, but it's called, we just call it gochugaru.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's put like a teaspoon and a half of that. Okay, perfect. Now we're gonna just set that aside. And actually, so, you know, Koreans, we don't waste, okay? So what we're gonna do, do we have some water?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Just a little bit, just to, So we don't like to waste. So what we're gonna do is just rinse it out, make sure all the goodness is in there. We're just gonna pour that in, and that way we use all the goodness for the galbijjim. One more ingredient that is traditional for galbijjim is chestnuts. So it's fall time right now. I know we don't really have chestnuts here in Hawaii, but if you go to a Korean supermarket, you can buy one of these. Like, this is for snacking. I did get the frozen ones because we're gonna be cooking it, but you can get it. It's like $8, $9 at the Korean supermarket, but chestnuts are really good. It's already peeled.
Oh, okay.
And it's frozen. You just buy the pack. It's super easy. Yeah, this is the lazy, you know,
I like
persons. Yeah, quick and easy, dump and go. So now that the sauce is done, okay, we're gonna just set this aside for now. Let's jump over to the pressure cooker. Okay, so now we're here at the pressure cooker. We're just gonna hit the saute button. We've already preheated this right now. And what we wanna do is we wanna take our sesame oil, which is really big in Korean cuisine, and we're gonna just drizzle that in. You know, a lot of people say less is more, but with sesame oil, I think more is always better. And then now that it's heated, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna set the mushrooms aside real quick here. And we're just gonna saute the onions. And we'll just saute it until it becomes a little translucent and clear, just so that it gives a little bit of that onion aromatic.
Okay, so while onions are browning, if you haven't recognized Brian yet, he's been on YouTube before, he's made a cameo. But Brian is a lender by trade. So I wanna hear from you. It's the end of the year, 2024 is wrapped up. What's the overview? What do you feel like happened, and how do you feel like it went?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was definitely an eventful year for sure. You know, we started the year off with definitely higher rates, you know, and a lot of fear in the market. I feel like people were definitely wanting to rent, not purchase. But then, you know, there's always, it's like a pressure cooker, right? You know, there's always, you know, you feel that external pressure from the market, from your finances, but then at some point you got to let the steam out. And so, you know, we saw some buyers, we had some good, clients that we helped this year, really creative deals. And then towards the summer, I think in July, we start to see the rates coming down a little bit to an all-time low in September. And, you know,
all-time low from when?
All-time low compared to in the last 2 years or so.
So post-pandemic, but yes.
Post-pandemic, but not. So, but you know, and it was a really good time for a lot of my clients to refinance. But I think, you know, because people were still waiting for that perfect moment, you know, a lot of my clients ended up holding off. And then it was only a 3-week window right after we got into the latter half of September. into October, rates came back up.
Yeah.
And now we're at the same levels that we were earlier this year.
Yep.
And so we missed that opportunity. And I do have some clients that took advantage of it.
Yep.
But I tell all my clients, let's take every small win as they come, because we don't know when that next win is gonna come.
Yeah.
So, if that refinance makes sense, if that purchase makes sense, do it in the time that's perfect for you. That's the lesson there.
Yeah.
And then we had the rate cuts that happened in September, and then we also had one in November, and we're planning to have one in December. Now, I talk with a lot of people about the Fed rate cuts. So just so that we're all on the same page, the Fed rate does not determine mortgage rates. It determines short-term lending rates, such as auto loans, credit cards, HELOCs, things like that.
Yeah.
For long-term lending rates, such as like mortgages, we have to follow the 10-year Treasury. Okay. And that's the US 10-year Treasury. And so that's the best indicator. Now, the Fed rate getting cut. So in September, when the Feds cut the rate by 50 basis points, which is 0.5%, mortgage rates actually went up. Yeah. And a lot of people are like so confused why they went up. And here's the reason why, is because a lot of what we look at in mortgage rates, it's based off of bonds and also the 10-year Treasury. It's forward thinking or forward looking into the price. So in July, they were already assuming and speculating a cut in September. So the rates already were dropping because of the September cut. So when it actually happened, some of the comments that were given, so I think we're ready. Yeah. So let's move on to the next step real quick. I'm gonna do the cancel and turn this off for now. And then what we're gonna do is I am going to start putting the beef in. And we wanna put the beef in first and just kind of layer it on top of the onions. And typically it's only like 3 pounds, so I'm working with double today, but so we will have a full pot.
So no seasoning, salt, pepper needed.
We will do some pepper, but no salt, yeah. Pepper in right now. Now typically, so if you see this cut right here, Marina, it's a little bit on the thinner side, so you can also get it with like a thicker, more meat. Okay. And that's what I usually like, but they didn't have that cut at the store, so I just...
some of them are meaty.
Some of them are meatier, yeah.
And you're going to the frozen section, or this is like in the...
This is in the butcher section, yeah, in the meat section. So I went to Costco yesterday, and it's sometimes a hit or miss, but they had the beef ribs, but it was like a rack, yeah. And that's not what we want, and they wouldn't cut it any further, so. Yeah.
I think this is a great idea too if you are a traditional Christmas meal type of person, but you want to switch it up for the day before or New Year's. You could try this, definitely.
So we have all of that in, and then we're gonna put the concoction. Because I think we have a little bit more meat today, I'm gonna put in less of the vegetables, because we can always add it back in later. Yeah. After the meat cooks down. Put some potatoes, some carrots. So yeah, so interest rates, so again, the 10-year Treasury. So, we're always forward looking when we price interest rates and stuff. When the Fed actually cut the rates, then, some of the comments from the press conference and stuff like that weren't as friendly to the market. And that's why actually rates went up right after.
They're going, we don't think so.
Yeah, we're like, some of the comments seemed a little bit, we call it hawkish, meaning that it's like kind of a negative perspective instead of being dovish, which is positive.
So the lesson learned is don't follow the news, follow your lender's advice, because again, I saw it firsthand. There were some lenders going, rates are gonna fall, lock your loan now, blah, 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 blah. And like, it was the opposite, it went up. Yeah. And so to me, that's just total clickbait. And so you really just gotta check your sources and just, fact check. And it's market dependent and location dependent. Like you just gotta know your people. So super good advice.
So follow the trend. Yeah, don't follow the trends. Always, if you have questions, ask your loan officer, ask your trusted mortgage advisor. When's a good time. If you have a good loan officer, they'll be setting up alerts and trigger warnings or triggers on their systems to make sure that, hey, rates have come down. When do you want to strike and do your refinance or purchase or things like that. So that we had that. And then obviously the most recent, news, the big news is the election, which was last week. We're filming this on the 13th of November right now. So it was last week. That was some volatility, and rates went up, then down, then up, then down. And, when it comes to the market and timing rates, what I've learned in the years of my experience is that the market really does not like volatility. It likes stability. When it knows that, there's going to be some sort of stability in our political arena or economic arena or global arena, then that's when rates start to really settle. And otherwise you're seeing 0.25% jumps within the whole day and it goes up and down, and we don't want that. All right, let's close the lid for the pressure cooker. Okay, so just making sure everything's good here. Okay, now we just want to do you can do meat or stew.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess we'll do stew today. And 35, let's just add on about 15 more minutes just because we're doing a big batch.
Okay.
We'll just wait and then we'll come back when it beeps.
So we do mushrooms at the end, or that's a garnish?
So mushrooms, I just brought it as an option today. Okay. We can throw it in at the end. It does cook really fast and it does soak up the sauce. So we can just throw it in and then I can throw it in when I reduce the sauce. Okay. So we can just wait on that.
Okay. We'll do that.
Okay, so the pressure's been released, so we're gonna open it. It's the moment of truth. It's always a little nerve-wracking, so I just always double check that the pressure is completely gone. Okay.
Oh.
And ooh, okay.
Pretty.
She's pretty, so I'm gonna just set this on the side over here. Okay, so we got the potatoes. Now, with a dish like this, the next day and the day after, it gets even better as the flavors soak in to the vegetables. So today, we're just gonna set it aside. And I'm gonna actually use a ladle here.
Oh yeah, I can already tell. Like with the rice, it's gonna soak up all the sauce. I'm excited to try the chestnuts. I've never had them.
So what we're doing is we're just taking out the veggies and the meat, and then I'm gonna cook down the sauce a little bit more just so that it's a little bit more of a syrupy texture, and it'll go with the rice, yeah, a little bit better.
Okay, so while you're doing that, tell us what you think is gonna happen in real estate in 2025. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball, but.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, what I've been telling my patients, my clients.
Sometimes they're patients. They need some rejuvenation.
What I've been telling my clients is that, we are expected for the rates to go down, the market to calm down. And, I don't want to get too political, with my clients or anything, but, with our new president-elect, it does. And we have to be aware of what economic policies might come into play, which would affect us, in everyday life. And, currently right now, some of the economic policies that have been talked about are very inflationary, like tariffs and, things like that. So, we won't know for sure until January and those economic policies are put into play. We really won't know what's gonna actually happen. But, I always like to, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So, I'm telling my clients, hey, maybe that refinance that we were looking at might not come as quickly as possible. So how can you manage your cash flow the best way possible? So I definitely want to make sure that, my clients have proper expectations going into 2025.
Of course, yeah. And again, it goes back to not when it's the right time or timing the market, but what's right for you and your family. Correct. So there are certain life events that we can't time. They just happen, whether that's a birth or a death or a move for the job or whatever. You can't time that. But what you can do is take a really educated look at the full perspective and think, does this make sense for me and my family right now with the current landscape? And if not, I think we're really great about working together and creating a roadmap to when the time might be right. Because for a lot of our clients today, it doesn't make sense. And we'll straight up tell you, let's make a 6-month plan to get there. But at least we have a goal that we're working toward together as a group. Super important, yeah. Oh my God, look how the meat is just falling off the bone. Yeah. So good.
So since we put a lot of meat in, there's a lot of meat to take out. So it just does require a little bit of patience, but it's already falling off the bone and it's gonna be really good.
Do you typically garnish this or serve this with sides, like typical Korean?
Yeah, like kimchi, your typical Korean sides. But you can serve this, with, you can do like long rice, chicken long rice, yeah, like japchae. You can do, rice, but this in and of itself is going to be just really good.
Yeah. Which local hack for you, if you don't want to cook all the sides, because I don't want to, I'll just go to the Korean barbecue place and order a plate of sides. I think it's like half off the price of the regular plate lunch, but it's all the vegetables. And then you just come home and you replate it and you look like you did it all.
I'm right now working with a pretty brand new agent, and I'm learning how, I guess it depends on the brokerage and the team, but new agent training is like, across the board. Yeah. It really is like,
yeah, Wild West.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm realizing, and like, the listing agent called me and she was like, we're only accepting this because it seems like you know what you're doing as a lender. We were going to reject it because there were so many mistakes that the agent made on the contract, and that just communicated a lack of confidence to the seller that we could actually close this. But,
well, hold on. The brokerage is supposed to check this contract and spell check, look at all the fill in the blanks, all of that. So the brokerage didn't do the job either, if that's the case.
Right. And I'm not going to name names, but, I was like, I was talking to the agent and I was like, is there anyone you can talk to? Because, technically the contract is the agent's,
it's our responsibility.
Responsibility. Yeah. And, as much as I see contracts every day, like, and I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, like, it's not really my responsibility. So he was like, is there someone you can talk to? And the agent was like, oh, yes, but my, my mentor, the person that's coaching me isn't available.
Then find someone else. You need someone else. Yeah. It's supposed to be like a family where if that person's unavailable, you go to the next one and you go up the chain if you need to.
So,
that's too bad.
Yeah, I haven't had the heart to tell the agent that that's what the listing agent said, because the agent knew that the buyer's agent knew that we were talking, the listing agent and I, and so he asked like, oh, what did you guys talk about? And I was just like, oh, they're gonna sign it soon, don't worry. But I don't have the heart to tell him.
Yeah. I mean, I say on all of my buyers' consults, interview multiple agents, which could be a disservice to myself, right? Because I'm putting them out there to the world. But it's because, one, I want them to be educated and get a sense of personality and all those things, but also to ensure the agent is experienced and competent. Yeah. Because anyone can get a real estate license. You just need a high school degree. Like, it's so easy. And,
I think one of the questions that I think a lot of buyers, come and ask me is, I just had this happen recently and they asked me, Brian, should I go shop around?
Yeah.
And I say, yeah, please do shop around, but please also keep in mind that I am a mortgage broker and I am shopping around for you with the other banks. But if you want to work with another broker, see what their style is, their communication, their execution, please by all means go and check other people out. But I am very confident in what I do and I have the numbers that I can show you and the data. But at the end of the day, like, I think, first time home buyers, a lot of them, don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. But they also need an opportunity to figure out what questions to ask and all that stuff. So
yeah, and honestly, the experience comes through talking to multiple people. That's where it comes from. So you need a gauge. If you just talk to one person, you don't have much to bounce off of. So, okay, what are we doing next?
So we're gonna put it in saute mode again. So I have the juices here. Yep, so it's on now. So we're just gonna let it reduce down a little bit, and then towards the end, I'm gonna throw the mushrooms in, and then we'll use that as kind of a garnish. So yeah, we're just gonna wait until it kind of reduces down. That way, it's a little bit more syrupy, but this is a good opportunity to just do a quick taste test.
Do you have any, growing up in Hawaii, like Christmas stories, or like what's nostalgic Hawaii Christmas for you?
My having grown up having been raised in a very like traditional Asian family, like we really didn't celebrate Christmas too much. My mom was, always taking us to church and whatnot. So that's just kind of all I remember.
Was New Year's bigger?
New Year's is definitely bigger, yeah.
Okay. any favorite memories from New Year's, or like what is for someone who's never lived in Hawaii, they're moving here, they've never had a Hawaii New Year's, what do they need to prepare for?
Fireworks. Yeah, it's especially if you, depending on what side of the island you live in. I mean, pretty much everywhere, but you know, where we live in on the west side, it's a little bit more intense. So, you know, if you have pets, you know, make sure that they have some, you know, CBD gummies or chews or
Compression jacket for doggies.
Yep. Yes. You know, and, you know, cause yeah, there's going to be a lot of fireworks going on, which I believe is illegal.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. But you know, the cops turn the other way.
And does it. So how do you make it illegal when everyone's doing it? But when we say fireworks, we're not like, where I grew up was Washington State. So we could go to the Indian reservation and get a couple like things. This is aerials full on, like a firework display, happened at your neighbor's house. It's a totally different experience. One of the first years we lived here, we would go to Mililani, to my uncle's house, and we were like sweeping the streets with all the Chinese firecracker paper. And that is just like not a mainland thing. Yeah. But it was also a sense of community where everyone comes out with their push brooms. We're all helping each other clean the streets. And it's just like so special. It's not your sleepy, sit in your couch New Year's at all. We were up all night. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, definitely, you know, no snow. We don't get snow here, right? So it's definitely a tropical Christmas. But you know, now that you know, I have my own family, like you know, we're trying to set up our own traditions and stuff. So you know, one of the things that we've been doing the last few years is getting a real Christmas tree and going Christmas tree shopping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've been, you know, trying to incorporate more traditions and making new traditions.
Have you gotten a local tree yet?
Yeah, we went, well,
to the tree farm?
Oh no, we went to Home Depot.
Okay, yeah. So those are all shipped from the Northwest, but that's fine. Okay. So tip for those, because we've done them too, you always have to give them their magic juice because just water isn't gonna cut it. There's like tree supplements to keep them hydrated because it is so hot here and they travel so far. But there is a local tree farm. I think it's like Helemano Farms or something like that. And it's the Hawaiian Christmas tree. Okay. Yeah. So their branches aren't quite as full and fluffy as a pine, but it's pretty cool if you wanted to try something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one that's a little bit more like skinny.
Yeah, it's like feathery.
Yeah, yeah.
Poofs out.
Okay, so I'm just gonna put the mushrooms in just so that it just soaks up some of the sauce. It's totally optional.
Okay, so how long are we sauteing for?
So until it gets a little bit thick.
Okay.
So it just depends on how long, you know, how much juice you have in there, and also how much honey or sugar content you put in, because that's what's gonna make it solidified.
Yeah.
But you know, to be honest, we can just let this like boil itself down. But you know, this is ready to eat. So let's start plating, and then let's take a bite.
Okay. So they must have, this is a dumb question, chestnuts in Korea, like trees. Yeah, they're popular. Okay, thank you. And then we're gonna use sauce on top?
Yes, so sauce, well, sauce I'll let you pour it on as you want it. But try that first and then see how you like it. If you want the sauce, then you can always pour the sauce on as well.
It's not spicy.
Not spicy.
Yeah, it's good. It's super tender. It's almost like Korean teriyaki in a way because it's so sweet, but not spicy at all. I'd even say we could kick it up if we needed to.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's why kids really like this, because of, you know, the Korean spice is not that spicy. I'm gonna take out some of these bones here.
But I guess if we're eating this traditional style, we have spicy sides that we can then mix in with everything.
Yeah. And then try the chestnut. See how you like that.
So it's really tender. It's not like a nut. It was good. Yeah.
It's like a yam.
Yeah, it's more potato than anything. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we got our mushrooms. Right? Good. I approve.
Came out really good. And the by tomorrow, the flavors are gonna even settle more. Yeah. And it's gonna be even better. Okay. Try some of the gravy, I guess.
I like my rice
swimming. Like
yes.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so we're gonna make sure we have the full recipe in the video description so you guys can get that. Try this out. Like this took us, what, an hour and a half max from start to finish, including prep time?
Yeah, maybe an hour and a half max. But you know, most of it was waiting around for the pressure cooker to do its thing.
So you can multitask, you can make other recipes or do whatever you need to do at the holiday times. And what's great is like, you don't have to sit over a stove. It's literally like, do it, walk away, come back, serve it up. So good.
And today we, you know, just push the pressure release button But if you're busy, just let it naturally release its pressure, because it'll do that once it turns off. As the temperature cools, and it's gonna naturally do that. Let that happen, and then if there's still pressure, always make sure to press the pressure release button. And then, you can open it and then enjoy, so you can do it, in the morning before you leave, be gone for the rest of the day, and then let it cook.
Yeah.
And I'll keep it warm.
Delicious, super recommend. I'm gonna try this for New Year's in our family personally, like switch it up. Instead of Filipino food, we're having Korean food.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here. We really
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Marina.
It's always fun hanging out. But be sure to tune in next week for another video. And again, if you didn't catch the other videos for the holiday cooking series, we have 3 other ones, from a martini with espresso and gingerbread to our butter mochi. That's a family staple in my family. And then our Rangoon crab dip. So super good. See you next week.